Hello, I'm Dylan.
I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we eat meat paste for Christmas. Because this week we watched The Christmas Invasion.
Written by Russell T.
Directed by James Hawes.
And aired on December 25th, 2005.
Unsurprisingly, because it's the first of the Christmas specials.
Yeah.
A new tradition that BBC started in the reboot. They were like, hey, we should air Christmas versions of some of everybody's favorite shows, like Doctor Who. So they did.
And I guess this is technically part of Series 2,
Well,
which
so
starts coming out way after, like 6 months afterwards.
there's like a debate within the fandom about what series the Christmas special should be attached to, whether it should be attached to the series that comes after it or the one that comes before it. And I'm just of the opinion you should just attach it to whichever series it was produced as part of. So this was produced as part of Series 2. So it's a Series 2. It's Episode 0 of Series 2.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
In my opinion, anyway.
It doesn't really matter in the long run.
No.
Then again, nothing really matters in the long run.
But I think people want a way to classify these episodes that like dangle between seasons, really.
Yeah, I guess.
Especially between Series 9 and 10, when there was basically a year off with 2 Christmas specials in a row with the 2 episodes that aired. So,
I don't really care either way, honestly.
I think the Christmas specials are fun. I think Christmas specials are the opportunity for the BBC to do something lighthearted with the show, especially when it goes down some dark paths later. The Christmas special is always there to cheer you up.
Yeah, because the Sycorax and this story were so lighthearted. It actually kind of was at the end.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was
Especially
pretty
with the genocide
fun.
there.
Yeah, there's always been genocide, to quote us from 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Christmas specials, we'll be doing a Christmas special this year, and that's all we're going to say on the matter. So the episode... Well, actually, so first, before we watched Christmas Invasion, we watched the first reboot Children in Need special, which was... It was
just like 5 minutes of recap.
Yeah.
2 minutes of credits.
It was 2 minutes of recap. It was 8 minutes long. It was 2 minutes of recap, and then it was about 5 minutes of the Doctor talking with Rose, and then it was like the 30 seconds of credits at the end.
Billie Piper's acting was really bad in it.
She kind of phoned it in, I think. So yeah, it's really just right after the Doctor regenerates, Rose is like, "You're not the Doctor, bring the Doctor back." And the Doctor's like, "I am the Doctor." And she's like, "I don't believe you." And then he's like, "What was the first thing I told you when I met you?" "Well, I took your hand and we were in that store with the sharp dummies. And I said one word. I said, run." She's like, "Oh my God, you are the Doctor." And he's like, "Duh."
And that's pretty much it. There's really...
Well, it does set up the regeneration going wrong, because the 10th Doctor's plots a course to Barcelona, and then Rose is like, "Yeah, I don't know. And the Doctor's like, "Well, we could go home," so he plots a course to home instead. And he's like, "We're going to go super speed. We're going to break the time barrier." And he's like in pain, like doubled over the console. And Rose is like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, I don't think I am." And then it ends.
This episode picks up pretty much right where that ends, and I guess also where Parting the Ways ends. That was a big thing in this episode for me, is that it didn't really feel like a season opener. It just felt like a continuation of what happened last time.
Yeah, because it's not really a season opener technically. It's kind of just a dangling episode between series.
Yeah, so maybe the people who are like, "Yeah, it's part of the series that comes before it," like, do have a point. Maybe,
but then, I don't know, some of the later specials are like very clearly designed to precede the series and that's after it. So, like the most recent one, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, was definitely designed to set up Series 10.
Well, I guess it's a case-by-case basis, but this one I don't know if it falls in the middle, because I haven't watched Series 2 yet, but yeah, we'll see. And like I said, it doesn't really matter, I guess, so whatever.
Yeah, I just classify them with the series they were produced as, and that's how we're going to classify it on the episode index, since I'm the one who updates that.
All right, sure.
And so the TARDIS kind of comes screeching in, and Mickey works in an auto shop, apparently.
Yeah.
as a mechanic.
Well, he and Jackie sort of hear the TARDIS, which brings up that question we asked whenever we asked it a couple weeks ago, like, how loud is the TARDIS sound? And also brings up a new question here, because the sound seems to play like well before the TARDIS starts materializing.
Well, then again, the Doctor's being a bit reckless with the driving of the TARDIS this time, especially since it doesn't just materialize, it comes crashing
Yeah,
into Powell Estate.
I guess that doesn't really explain it in my mind. And yeah, it's Powell Estate. I think a couple weeks ago you said Purell Estate, and I was like, wait, the hand sanitizer?
Yes, because that's... I remember making a joke about that when it was first named, and that was the only name I could remember for it.
Oh, I don't remember that joke or really anything else about it. But yeah, anyway, Mickey and Jackie start running around like lunatics looking for the TARDIS.
Somehow they can trace the TARDIS by sound only.
And didn't Mickey say a couple weeks ago that he wasn't going to come running whenever he heard the TARDIS?
Yes.
Yeah, Mickey's character in this was kind of weird because it's almost as if all that character development he got never happened.
Well, it happens again in this story, really. He starts off like pre-Parting of the Ways Mickey and ends like end of Parting of the Ways Mickey. Everything that he learned in Parting of the Ways, he just learns again.
Guess Russell T was like, I sure hope they don't remember all the stuff that happened
6 months ago. So the Doctor comes charging out of the TARDIS and he's like, okay, first off, he gets Mickey's name right. He actually calls him Mickey, which confirms the fact that the Ninth Doctor was just being a jerk by intentionally calling him Ricky.
I guess it does.
So
he's like, Mickey, Jackie.
He actually kind of does do that. When he's like, there was something I needed to tell you, Jackie. What was it? Oh, yes, Merry Christmas. And then he just passes out on the floor. And Rose is like, oh my God, what happened to the Doctor? And Jackie's like, wait, where is the Doctor? She's like, this is the Doctor. And Jackie's like, what? Doctor who? And then title sequence plays. You got to get that prerequisite once per season Doctor Who joke. So, although none of them will ever be as good as when someone was like, Doctor Who? And Hartnell was like, yeah, if you like.
I don't even remember when that was.
I don't remember what story it was
I'm guessing
in.
it was during the Hartnell era.
Wow, what a twist that was. No, maybe it was during 5 Doctors.
Maybe. No, it wasn't. I would bet any amount of money that it wasn't.
I wouldn't take that bet because I would lose. So
they bring the Doctor back to
Jackie's room.
Yeah.
She mentions that this guy named Howard from the market's been staying over, and Rose is like, how long's that been going on? And she's like,
She's on like a month. Haven't we heard of Howard before? Hasn't he been name dropped?
Yeah, I recognized his name, but I couldn't
Then again,
place...
it's just Howard, so
yeah,
like it's not
a pretty generic name. Could be anybody. Maybe there's multiple Howards. Maybe Jackie just likes men named Howard. I don't know.
It's a prerequisite.
Kind of weird that Rose's dad was Pete then.
Yeah, maybe they were all Pete's before Pete died.
And then she was like, no more Pete's, just Howard's.
Anyway.
Yeah, she mentions that because she puts the Doctor in Howard's pajamas, and Rose is like, where did you even get these men's pajamas?
Yeah. And the pajamas don't have anything to do with the story except for some comic relief jokes later.
Yeah, which were appreciated since the story actually got pretty dark later on.
I guess, but they weren't really funny.
They were okay.
So Mickey and Rose decide to go Christmas shopping. It's Christmas Eve.
Before they go, like right before we find out that Harriet Jones is Prime Minister now.
Oh, yeah.
Which correlates with the Ninth Doctor saying, oh yeah, she's going to have 3 terms as Prime Minister. Which isn't true as of the end of this story anymore. So...
Well, she didn't resign at the end.
Yeah, but...
Well, I mean, maybe she resigns later, but she doesn't resign at the end of this, at least.
Well, not at the end of this, but eventually.
All right. And I think we also find out around this time that Britain has sent a probe to
into
Mars.
Space. Guinevere 1.
Yeah.
Which had to have been launched like in 2004 or 5 to make it to Mars in 2006.
Well, does this take place in 2006? Did they ever say?
Yeah. Well, in the little preview thing that the Doctor says, how about December 24th, 2006?
Oh. I guess it does then. Maybe you just got it wrong and it's like actually 2016 or something.
I think Jackie and Mickey would be more freaked out as Rose disappears for 10 years this time instead of 1.
Anyway, something goes wrong with the probe. You see it
crash into something.
Not crash, but sort of go into a big space rock.
That's most assuredly not Mars.
Anyway, Mickey and Rose are Christmas shopping, and Mickey's like, why don't you just forget about the doctor? Well, Rose is talking about the doctor and their travels, and Mickey is like, just forget about the doctor for once, get your head back
On
Earth, I guess.
Especially since he seems to be dying. Just let it go, Rose.
Yeah, maybe I'll have another chance after the doctor finally croaks. No, he doesn't say that. What's weird about this scene is Mickey does this weird, like, dip with his torso every time he says something. Did you notice that?
No. What? No.
It was really weird. He does.
What?
Every time he talks, he kind of goes like this.
Like, as if anybody listening right now can see what you're doing.
No, they can't, but that doesn't matter. I already described it. It's a dip with your torso. Like, yeah. And then
What?
Rose kind of does it too, but not.
No,
like,
I
as
didn't notice that at
exaggeratedly.
all.
Yeah, he does.
Anyway, so this is Christmas band playing nearby.
They're
and
dressed up as Santas.
They're all robots. Spoilers. They're all like either robots or like people in robot-looking masks.
Well, they're the precursor fish or whatever they're
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
That wasn't their actual name, but
No. One of them gets crushed by a Christmas tree falling over, so they die. Then Rose is
well, because they're playing their brass instruments, and then all of a sudden they creepily approach Rose, and you find out the instruments are actually machine guns and flamethrowers.
yeah. So Rose is like, there's nothing special about us. Like, what are they after if they're after us? The doctor, because the doctor's special. And Mickey's like, wow, thanks.
Rose is kind of special now, so it might be her.
Yeah.
Mickey, you're ruled out.
Sorry, Mickey. Also, the doctor's been croaking up some regeneration energy while he's been asleep.
Yeah, and the Bad Wolf song plays every time he does, so
He's probably still
interesting.
coughing out that time vortex he absorbed. That's probably why the
Coughing out the-
regeneration has gone wrong.
Coughing out those bad wolves. Those wolf hairballs.
Do wolves? Wolves don't cough up hairballs, do
I
they?
don't know.
It's just cats,
I mean, they're related
right?
to dogs, and dogs don't, so I'm guessing not, but you never know.
Well, I think we can be pretty certain on that aspect if we looked it up.
If we looked it up, but we didn't.
Check the show notes. So, Mickey and Rose go back to the house, and then Rose is like, where'd you get that Christmas tree? And Jackie's like,
I thought you got it.
Got it. Rose is like, when would I get the Christmas tree? I would just got home 3 hours ago. And Jackie's like, that's a good point.
The tree starts spinning and starts destroying things. And they're like, oh god, run. Destroys half of their apartment.
Poor Jackie's gonna have to rebuild the apartment. And they, like, busts in on the doctor. Well, they go hide in the bedroom where the doctor's still passed out. And Rose is like, come on, doctor, you gotta save us.
They use a
the
word-
real doctor would save me. In his mind, the 10th Doctor's like, wow, I should just leave you here for that comment.
Anyway, Jackie and Mickey use a wardrobe to block the door. Surprisingly works, even though the Christmas tree has been shown to just shred through anything in its path.
Well, first Mickey does this super heroic thing where he tells Jackie and Rose to run, and he picks up this chair and tries to hold back the Christmas tree with the chair, but then the tree just shreds the chair, and Mickey's like, oh darn. Yeah, so Rose puts the sonic screwdriver in the doctor's hand and nothing's happening. Then she like whispers, save me. And he like just bolts up and blows up the Christmas tree with the sonic screwdriver. So that sonic screwdriver being used to blow up a lot of things in the reboot. Lots of explosions. It's pretty ace. It's pretty ice hot.
Ace would approve.
Ace would approve. So then the doctor goes outside and he sees the Santa robots or Santa people, and
He's like, those are fish that show up before something big happens, kind of like the
Well,
fish that swim alongside rays or whatever.
well, he doesn't say that. He just calls them by their name, and then Mickey looks them up, and then he explains, oh yeah, these fish always like
Just
follow
Googles
along
it.
with like sharks or whatever. So if the fish are there, then the sharks are almost always there because the fish follow the sharks. So Mickey's like, that must mean we're gonna be totally boned in a little while here. Anyway, the doctor's
I
like,
get it boned because sharks don't have bones, they only have cartilage.
that's exactly what I was going for. Anyway, the doctor's trying to tell Jackie what he needs to complete his regeneration, but Jackie just cuts him off by listing about 50 different grocery items that the doctor doesn't need. And then he's like, I need you to shut up, Jackie.
Well, it turns out he actually does need the tea.
Which is not one of the things that Jackie listed.
Was it? I don't remember. I wasn't really paying attention.
Wasn't.
But
she lists great things like milk, cheese, pie. So before the doctor passes out again, he's like, regeneration going wrong. Watch out for aliens. And then he just keels over.
Watch out for aliens. Line that encompasses this entire show.
Then I think we cut to Harriet Jones in Unit. Unit's actual first appearance in the show. By which I mean, like, we actually see Unit HQ and all the Unit members.
I guess they can't call it the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, but they do just call it Unit.
Yeah.
None of the members are recurring from the classic show, so we don't have the Brig. Instead, we have the Major.
Yeah, also, we forgot to mention that David Llewellyn, project leader of the Guinevere space probe, went on TV and was like, yeah, we're going to get some images right now. And then they see images of the Sycorax, and he's like, ah!
Yeah, the Sycorax look pretty cool. Well, they look cooler when you see them on this, like, sort of grainy display. When you actually see them later, they don't look as cool.
When you see them in HD 480p. Yeah, so...
HD ready.
Harriet Jones goes to Unit to try to figure out what's going on, and she...
Because Guinevere 1 is sort of, it blipped out of existence for like a second, and they're interviewing Llewellyn, and he's like, we don't know what happened, but it's all fine, it's totally fine.
It's back online now. Yeah, so Harriet Jones is trying to find out what they can do about these aliens, and David's like, you're talking about aliens as if they're just matter of fact, and then Harriet Jones is like, there's an act of parliament barring my autobiography.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a pretty funny line.
Llewellyn is like, so we plan to go to Mars, right? Are these aliens we contacted Martians? And the Major's like, no, Martians look
completely different.
Getting that Ice Warrior mention in, I guess.
Anyway, Harriet Jones pulls the Major aside and asks him about torture, and the Major's like, how do you even know about that? And she's like, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to know.
Spin-off, Major.
She's like, I know I'm not supposed to know, but I do, so just deal with it. I need to know if Torchwood can be ready. And he's like, well, I guess I'll get on that.
I guess they can get ready.
I'm not sure how the Major knows about Torchwood if the Prime Minister is not supposed to know about Torchwood. But anyway.
Torchwood takes forever to get ready now that I think about it.
They had to power up the Death Star.
What if Torchwood actually just rebuilt the Earth into a Death Star without anybody noticing? Be pretty impressive.
Classic Torchwood.
Classic Torchwood. Anyway.
Yeah, so Unit's running some translation software on the Sycorax, and then it cuts to Rose and Mickey watch the Sycorax talk on the TV, and Rose is like, normally the TARDIS translates languages for me, but I guess that must be tied to the Doctor being half dead right now, because only one of his hearts is beating. Yeah. It means it's not working.
Because the Sycorax are speaking a different language.
Which is it's a good setup for the reveal later on when the Doctor finally wakes up.
Yeah, I guess it's a reveal. The Sycorax, well, they eventually get the translation software working. They decode that the Sycorax are going like, yeah, Sycorax rock.
Yeah, it's like, Sycorax kill, Sycorax destroy, Sycorax rock. And David Llewellyn's like, yeah, rock is in the modern term, like they rock, they're cool.
It's actually the assistant guy, the right-hand man.
Oh yeah, sorry. The guy with the Bluetooth headset.
Who dies later on.
No, he doesn't. He survives till the end.
Oh, yeah.
David Llewellyn dies.
Yeah, Llewellyn gets zapped by like that blue whip thing.
Whiplash from Iron Man 2.
I don't know what that is, thankfully.
It's the villain to Iron Man 2 who
Damn.
replicates Iron Man's technology, and instead of making, I don't know, an Iron Man suit, he makes electro whips, because that's the best weapon you could make with that technology.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
So, Harriet Jones responds to the Sycorax by saying it's a day of peace and we extend that peace to you. But if you say no, we're armed and we will fight back. Which is a great way to end your message of peace, because the Sycorax then respond with, if you don't comply, they will die. And then basically controls all of the A-positive people on Earth to walk up the highest building nearby and prepare themselves to jump off.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because it's the next day, so it's Christmas. Rose sort of goes outside her apartment and sees some people walking. Well, they should be walking up, like to the roof of the apartment, but they actually just walk away, and I guess they go up somewhere else. I mean, maybe the apartment doesn't have roof access, but I mean, they could climb.
Well, they all took stairs, so
I mean, but they could still climb. Might not
yeah.
be part of the blood programming, but if that's the case, then wow.
Well, so because the doctor reveals later that the blood control can't actually make you endanger yourself.
Yeah, so I guess none of these people wanted to climb. Or it can't make you
Yeah,
do anything that you don't really want to do. So it's sort of like hypnotism.
yeah.
So I guess none of these people wanted to climb. They just wanted to take the easy way out and go up however many flights of stairs.
Because climbing would
Wonder
have been
if
dangerous.
wonder if
Survival
anyone.
instinct kicked in.
I guess maybe. I wonder if anyone took the elevators.
The really lazy people. Yeah, Harriet Jones mentions that it's all around Earth. Also, the Major comes up and is like, yeah, the President of the United States wants to take over this. And Harriet Jones is like,
Tell them to
please,
bug off.
yeah, tell him to bug her off. So then, yeah, all the people go to the roof, and then Harriet
Oh
Jones
yeah.
takes over the Queen's speech on Christmas.
We didn't mention the annoying introduction that Harriet always gives, like I'm Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, and everyone's like, yeah, we know.
I thought that was pretty funny. We're like, yeah, we know. She's doing the same thing she did when in Aliens of London / World War III. She's like, Harriet Jones, MP for Flydale North, except now it's Harriet Jones, Prime Minister.
Yeah, I guess we never got out of the habit of doing that.
Well, because she wants people to know who she is, even though everybody in England would know who she is now that she's Prime Minister.
Well,
Even
not
the
everybody.
Sycorax know
Not
who she is
everybody.
somehow.
Not necessarily. You might not know who the Prime Minister is.
I guess. If you didn't have access to the internet, or
No, I mean, even if you do, you still might not know.
that'd be pretty impressive.
Anyway, the Sycorax are like, hey, we're going to make people jump.
And Harriet's like, oh shoot, have there ever been any Code 9s, Major? And the Major's like, nope. Harriet's like, damn, where's the doctor? We need the doctor now. So she takes over the Queen's speech. Then she does this really cheesy thing on the speech where she's like, hey, have we talked about the royal family? Oh, they're on the roof. Oh, okay. Hey, doctor, we need you.
Yeah, we didn't mention that Llewellyn feels like responsible for what's happening because he sent up a vial of blood in the probe along with some other human/earth artifacts like music and water, and the blood was A positive, so that's how the Sycorax got a hold of it and were able to somehow control all the A positive people on Earth, which I guess is 1/3. I don't know if that's true or not, but
And also the royal family is apparently A positive.
yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah,
Yeah, so the
they
doctor's still passed out, so he doesn't hear Harriet Jones's message, but Rose starts crying when she sees her message for the doctor, pleading for the doctor to come and save them.
yeah, pretty bad acting in this scene on Billie Piper's part, I thought.
Yeah, the crying was pretty bad.
I wonder why. It seems like Billie Piper's actually getting worse or like has stopped caring because she was pretty good in series 1 and then like the Children for Need thing and like this.
Maybe she's trying to get back into the groove of things.
Maybe. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't up to par with what she's shown before.
Yeah. So Harriet Jones then claims that she talks for the people of Earth because England likes to do that, apparently. What's his name did it in Aliens of London / World War III. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Did you notice that all the laptops in this were Vios?
Yeah, I made a note of the classic Sony product placement in this story. Also, we forgot to mention that Mickey's still hacking into Unit because hacks into Unit to find out what's going on up in space.
Classic Mickey. Just won't keep his nose out of other people's business.
Or he just really likes that Unit website. He's like, man, this website is great. Find out about all these alien invasions throughout the 70s.
Yeah, he had a Vio too. It just looked like a 5-year older Vio than like the other ones that Unit had. Anyway, the Sycorax invite Harriet Jones onto their ship.
And her posse.
Yeah.
They teleport them up.
Yeah, their ship is if you didn't know,
The Rock.
Even more proof that The Rock should play the Doctor.
So then David Llewellyn steps up. He's like, I'm taking over here. This is my fault. I feel responsible. You should let these people go. And then the Sycorax just kill him.
Because he tells the Sycorax that compared to them, in terms of like space exploration and technology, humans are just like little children taking their first steps, and the Sycorax are like, oh, okay, and they zap him.
And the Major's like, wow, you just killed him. Even your species should have rules of war, and then they just kill him too. And then Harriet Jones is standing there, pretty nervous now that she just watched 2 people die in front of her. She goes, I'm Harriet Jones, Prime Minister. And they're like, yes, we know who you are. And then, so the rock kind of moves into the Earth's atmosphere.
Oh, God.
And creates this sonic boom that like shatters all the glass. I guess all the glass in
the world,
England.
no. I guess, maybe.
Doesn't
the
Rose
ship
and
looks-
Jackie live in Cardiff?
What? No,
Or
they
do
live in London. They
Do
live in
they?
London, yeah.
I don't remember.
No,
But I
they
guess
live
it
in
shatters
London.
all the glass in London. Kind of sucks for that massive...
I mean, the ship looks like it covers the entire country, almost. Well, not really, actually, because you see it in, like, the London sky, and it doesn't cover the entire sky, but it looks pretty massive.
I was going to say it's going to suck to replace all that glass on that big, tall...
Building that's made completely of glass, or looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that building is, but...
Isn't that the Millennium Tower? There's so many Millennium buildings that that's probably a good guess that it's named Millennium.
I just found out, actually, why all these buildings named Millennium sort of have that same look is because around the turn of the millennium, yeah, there was like this big, they made a big deal about Millennium Silver, which I guess was like this color that they themed all these things around. So all the Millennium things are silver. They're Millennium Silver.
Oh. What?
Yeah.
Why silver?
I don't know, actually, but yeah.
Why is the color called silver when it's also the color of steel?
Just Millennium, like, aluminum sounds a lot worse. Even though the Millennium Bridge is actually made of, like, aluminum or something, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just making that up. But anyway, Rose decides that she, Mickey, and Jackie need to get into the TARDIS and hide because it's the only safe place on Earth.
Yeah, if everybody else has to die, at least they'll be safe, I guess, they're thinking.
Mickey and Jackie were like, wow, you're just going to go and run and hide. And Rose is like, yep,
And
totally
like,
going to do it. And
wow.
like, the doctor would never do that. And she's like, oh, well.
And she's like, oh, well, the doctor's dead. So they take they carry the doctor to the TARDIS, and Jackie's carrying like 7 bags of food, and Rose is like, you don't need all of those. And she's like, you said we would need food, which isn't true because there's a food machine in the TARDIS. Maybe the doctor hasn't introduced Rose to the magic of the TARDIS food machine.
Yeah.
How do they eat on the TARDIS now? Do they have like a kitchen? Prepare some meals?
Probably.
This story has the first appearance of a room in the TARDIS that's not the console room too, in the reboot anyway.
Yeah, it's the wardrobe room.
Which we'll talk about later.
So they get into the TARDIS. They just sort of lay the doctor down on the
On the
grates.
floor. Like, that's gonna be comfortable.
Just sort of dump him. No.
David Tennant's like, oh, god damn it, this is so uncomfortable. So Jackie's like, I'm gonna go back for the rest of the food that I left behind. And Rose is like, god damn it.
So Rose and Mickey decide to tune into the Sycorax broadcast or whatever.
TV, Sycorax TV. But instead they accidentally activate like an SOS or something.
We didn't mention the news broadcasts about the aliens being like, now indisputable proof has been shown. Aliens exist. It's like, hasn't this happened like 4 times total in the series where it's like, now no one can deny the existence of aliens?
Yeah, it happened last season when the aliens freaking crashed into Big Ben.
Yeah. Pretty sure it happened at least 2 or 3 times before that too. But oh well.
Well, the Daleks are going to invade in like 10 years, so...
10 years, isn't it more like 100?
When was the Dalek invasion of Earth set?
21 something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck if I know.
But whatever. I guess the American news station was AMNN. It's American News Network.
I love when TV shows do like super off-kilter TV news networks because they don't want to like license the actual news networks. And then it always looks super low budget compared to the rest of the show. It's like just a desk with someone behind it, and they called it good.
I mean, that's what news rooms are, but they usually make them look more fancy.
Yeah. And they have like a higher budget, and they like have actual like editing in it.
And green screen of a major
like,
city behind them.
And actual news anchors who can act or can deliver their lines with enthusiasm.
I guess. Anyway, that's not important.
So The Sycorax pick up the TARDIS distress beacon that Rose and Mickey accidentally activated, and they decide to teleport the TARDIS up because apparently they can do that.
I don't think it was the beacon. I think it was them tuning into the broadcast.
Well, Mickey mentioned that maybe they accidentally activated the beacon, which is why they couldn't tune into anything, and that the buttons they pushed accidentally turned on the beacon because they heard the beeping in the TARDIS as well, and Mickey's like, maybe it's a beacon.
And the Sycorax are like, you're hiding... I actually forget what this whole plot point was, that they were hiding, the Sycorax thought they were hiding, or that Harriet was hiding technology that was greater than what she actually had.
Yeah, because Llewellyn pitched humans as like infants who don't know anything about the universe, but the TARDIS is time-traveling, spatially independent machine that's like well beyond what the Sycorax have, which is they're accusing Harriet of trying to misrepresent the human race in order to gain, I guess, sympathy from the Sycorax. The Sycorax have also...
they weren't going to give them sympathy either way, so...
Yeah. The Sycorax have also said either they'll kill 1/3 of the population or they sell 1/2 into slavery, and if I was Harriet, I'd be doing the numbers right there and be like, well, 1/3 is less than 1/2.
Also, death is probably a better fate than slavery.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds kind of like callous, but... Like, it's kind of callous to think only numerically between... I'm talking about my statement, not yours. I'm talking about... It's kind of callous to think of it as just 1/3 versus 1/2, but... Anyway.
I mean, what else are you going to do? Especially when they literally have the button right there.
Big red button. It's literally a big red button. So they beam up the TARDIS, and Rose is like, I'm going to go find my mom. And Jackie sees the TARDIS go away, and she's like, no, not again.
So Rose steps out and she realizes she's on the Sycorax ship and she gets taken into Sycorax custody and she's like, oh shoot. And Mickey realizes something is going on, so he leaves
Drops
the TARDIS too. Yeah.
Mickey inadvertently saves the day, by the way. That hero. Because Jackie tries to offer everybody a cup of tea in the TARDIS. And Rose is like, now is not the time for tea, mother. And then, so Mickey drops the tea, and I guess it like instantly evaporates on that super hot machinery that's underneath the console. Because the Doctor breathes it in and burps out the loss of the regeneration energy, I guess.
Yeah, come to think of it, Mickey really has been the unsung hero of the stories that he's been in.
Yeah. He's the best. I love Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey's pretty cool.
So Mickey and Rose have been captured, and then Harriet gives Rose a hug and is like, is the Doctor with you? And Rose is like, no, the Doctor's probably dead. And Harriet's like, God damn it.
I feel like Rose is the only one exaggerating that
the Doctor's dead.
I think everyone else just realizes that he's passed out.
Yeah. It's pretty good, though, that in the actual story itself, Rose it seems like Rose just accepts that the Doctor is the Doctor. I mean, obviously, if you watch the prequel, then you know that Rose didn't immediately accept that this Doctor is the Doctor that she knows.
She does almost immediately. Well, actually, she does almost in the same way that other companions have, which is pretty immediately.
Yeah.
Like a few minutes of confusion, and then she's like, oh, all right.
But in the actual story, it helps that she just straight up accepts it, because Mickey and Jackie will have that moment of confusion, and it would have been even worse if Rose also had that.
Well, when they ask her, like, who is this? Is this the Doctor? She's like, yeah, I guess he changed, so she's not 100% sure. She knows he's the Doctor, but she's not 100% sure what's going on.
Yeah, because the Doctor didn't explain it at all. And he still doesn't by the end of the story, by the way. He just says, oh yeah, if I'm dying, I can change every cell in my body, which includes my face.
He vaguely explains it by saying that, I guess, but yeah.
So they're talking with the Sycorax, and the assistant is translating, but then all of a sudden the Sycorax starts speaking English, and Harriet's like, did you just speak English? He's like, I would never speak English. And then Rose is like, no, it sounds like English to me, which means... And then the TARDIS doors fly open, and the Doc's like, did you miss me? Pretty cool reveal, in my opinion.
I guess it was kind of nice how they did that there. I didn't really like the rest of the episode, though, after this.
Yeah, the Doctor's like, I don't know what kind of man I am, so I'm just going to push this big red button.
Yeah, the Doctor sort of usurps the entire rest of the story, which I guess is all right since he wasn't really a big part of the... Actually, that's not true. He was a huge part of the first half of the
by being passed out, though.
By being passed out and having everyone freak out over his passed outness. But he kind of just takes command and center stage of everything here, which was... I don't know. Maybe that's part of the 10th Doctor's character, but...
Yeah, the 10th Doctor as a character has a big vanity issue.
Oh, all right. I mean, he seemed kind of 3rd Doctor-ish especially with the violence. Well, not the violence, but like the fighting. The third Doctor had a pretty big vanity issue too, but it wasn't one that they like tried to solve in the show.
Well, the 10th, they step off because at the end of the story, the 10th Doctor's like, no second chances, that's the kind of man I am. But they back off that pretty quickly because I think they realize that makes the Doctor a bit of a distant character and a bit difficult to root for when he's kind of so callous, as we saw with the third Doctor.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, the 10th Doctor likes to have a lot of fun, but he does have a bit of a vanity problem. At least nearer to the end of his run, anyway.
I just didn't like how in these last 15 minutes he just showed up and I guess, yeah, sort of usurped the entire rest of the story from everyone else, including the main characters, Rose, Mickey, Harriet, and the Sycorax as well.
I was okay with that because he didn't do anything in the first 3/4 of the episode. I mean, yeah, he was
Still,
there,
like,
but he was like, he
revolved
didn't
around
do
him, though.
he didn't do anything though.
He didn't do anything. But the dialogue and interactions between like Mickey, Jackie, Rose all revolved around the Doctor. So
Yeah, which
he's
in
sort
my
of just
opinion
this
actually kind of makes it
ever-present
better
thing.
because they're all kind of building up to this mythical return of the Doctor, and he comes back and he saves the day in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like it, but whatever. The Doctor calls the Sycorax bluff, which is that blood control can't actually make the people jump. It can just make them get up to the edge.
So he pushes the button and it just turns off the blood
Yeah,
control.
it's actually just the off switch.
And then the assistant's like, "You've killed everyone," and the Doctor's like, "Have I?"
So I wonder what would have happened if Harriet was like, "Yeah, press it, do it." Just be like,
The Sycorax would have started panicking. They would have just killed her and just called up the president or something and just brought up a new representative.
Probably.
They would have just kept going until someone took the deal and believed them. So then the Doctor challenges the Sycorax leader to a duel for Earth. I mean, with Earth as the prize, and they duel, and they go outside into this really, really shoddily green-screened ship edge.
Well, they start the duel inside and it sort of moves outside.
Yeah, when they first go outside, there's a really, really shoddy green screen shot, but the rest of them are okay.
This duel there's a lot of like quick cuts with the camera, probably to hide the not great choreography. Which is better than how they did it in the classic show, which is like just a
to show it.
static like medium shot of the really
Of the third
crappy
Doctor and the
choreography.
Master dual fencing.
Well, the one from the Sea Devils is actually the sword fight. There is actually a good example, I think, of not great choreography, but like pretty decent for this show. I'm thinking of like Unearthly Child, where like
Where they're
It's just
fighting with the
bad.
rocks.
yeah,
That was the first story. Cut
yeah,
them some
but
slack. They didn't know how this TV thing worked. Anyway, so
the Sycorax leader.
chops off the Doctor's hand, and he's like, "Good thing I'm a lucky man because I'm in the first 15 hours of my regeneration, and I can do this." And he regrows his hand.
So that's new.
The Wiki's like, that could provide an explanation for why Romana could change appearance 4 times when she first regenerated.
Jeez.
Yeah, remember because she came out as that massive belly dancer?
Yeah.
And then as that pretty short lady?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
I
she
guess
came
that
out as
explains it.
Princess Astra.
I guess that explains it, but I don't think that's what they were thinking of when they made this
No.
decision. Looks kind of cool though. I guess the CG in this story, like with the Martian probe as well, looks way better than the Series 1 CG.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it did.
The TARDIS at the beginning I thought looked pretty good for the time.
Some of the like on the Martian probe, some of the shadows and how they move like on the probe looked pretty cool.
Maybe the Christmas special had a budget separate from the rest of the seasons, so it had a set budget that they could just spend on the story instead of having to budget it out over like 12 episodes like they would in the regular season. I don't know, that's just conjecture.
Maybe. I don't know.
So then the Doctor beats the Sycorax leader in the duel and is about to kill him, and then the leader's like, "Kill me." And the Doctor's like, no, I don't just kill people randomly. Flashback to all those times he's killed people.
The Doctor gives the Sycorax leader this choice, like, I won't, or not a choice, but he says, I won't kill you as long as you leave Earth and never come back, basically.
Yeah, which is pretty Doctorish to do. It's pretty in line with his character. So even though the Doctor doesn't know who he is, as the 10th Doctor, he's still keeping some of those core tenets of the character, of the character alive. That pun is going to be showing up a lot, I have a feeling.
Well, it's already shown up. The Doctor says before this that all his cells have changed and that and this scene, I guess, which is in line with the Doctor's character, made me think, like, because in real life, I'm pretty sure, like, on human, I guess on every animal, all your cells do, except for your brain cells, like all the cells in your body do change. So like 10 years from now, all the cells will be different except your brain cells, I think. So I wonder if the Doctor's brain cells actually change when he regenerates, because if they don't, I guess that would explain sort of why the Doctor's character is consistent and he has a lot of his memories from previous regenerations.
Maybe only parts of his brain change, like the parts that control his personality, which
You know,
would
like the
explain.
amygdala?
Yeah,
I don't know what that part is, actually. I just wanted to say it.
Well, probably the personality parts change, which would cover why every Doctor has a pretty different personality from the Doctor before it, and they all have their own unique styles to it. But yeah, perhaps he retains his memories because some of his brain cells don't change. The 10th Doctor later on will describe regeneration basically as just dying. It feels like you're dying, and then you come back, and the memories of your previous incarnations are there, but they're kind of hazy.
Kind of like that immortal jellyfish. You heard of that jellyfish that, like, just goes back to its original, like, baby state when it's about to die anyway?
Anyway, the Doctor... Well, so the Doctor's walking away, and he finds a tangerine in his pocket. Or he calls it something else.
But... yeah, I guess it's a British term for it.
Yeah, and this is actually there's a British tradition about that fruit on Christmas and
I think I've heard of that
exchanging them
somehow.
with your friends. And I only know of it because it shows up in another Christmas special later on. So that's why the Doctor was like, just like Christmas. You think you're all done, but then at the bottom of the stocking, there's always a tangerine there. And then the Sycorax leader gets up and is about to charge the Doctor, and he just immediately nonchalantly chucks the tangerine at this button, and it drops the floor below the leader, and he falls to his death. And the Doctor just walks away. He gets really stern. It's like, no second chances. That's the kind of man I am. Like, okay, oh God.
Guess he discovered what kind of person he is.
I mean, I could see them doing that pretty well if they don't make him go super dark with it. If they make him, like, pretty light and happy, and then he gives the enemy a chance to run away, and then if they go back on their agreement, then he gets, like, really angry. I could see that working out pretty well.
Or having it play into his character development, maybe giving him a situation down the line where he has to give someone a second chance.
Yeah.
Or where he actually wants to give someone a second chance. But he's like, ooh, I don't really give second chances.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it could be an interesting place to go, because I don't think they've done a Doctor so far who's been so explicitly, I'm not going to give you a second chance. You get the one, and then if you don't take it, you're done, kind of thing. They touched upon it a few times in a couple stories, but there wasn't a Doctor where that was a key aspect to the character, I think.
Yeah, I don't think, well, thinking back to the third Doctor, I don't think he really even gave some of the enemies a first chance, but whatever.
Well, so they go back down, and they're all celebrating, and the assistant comes over to Harriet. It's like, Torchwood is ready, and she's trying to figure out what to do. Oh yeah, the Doctor's told the Sycorax to leave, and he's like, when you go out there and tell all the other species about how ripe Earth is for the taking, tell them that Earth is defended.
Yeah.
Defining speech of the 10th Doctor right there, because it's the only 10th Doctor speech we've had so far.
So the Sycorax ship is leaving, and Harriet gets the information that Unit is ready to attack. Torchwood is ready to attack. She's like, all right, let's do this.
Well, she considers it for a moment.
Yeah,
she doesn't do it immediately.
Yeah, she doesn't do it immediately.
And then she kind of says, tell Torchwood to fire. And the Doctor's upset at her.
They fire their Death Star laser thing.
Yeah, it's actually like a 5-point beam that joins into one. This, actually, speaking of the third Doctor, this reminds me, the Doctor's reaction anyway, reminds me of, remember in the Silurians when the Brig kills all the Silurians, and the third Doctor's like, why would you do that? I was making peace with them. Yeah. This like pretty much exactly mirrors that same situation. So the Doctor's like, why would you do that? They were leaving. They were running away. And Harriet's like you said, there'll be more out there. They're going to come and they're going to attack, and we have to show that we're ready to defend. And the Doctor's like, why? Now you've just shown that you're monsters. I shouldn't have told them to leave. I should have told them to run away.
That also plays into another third Doctor thing, which they bring up right now, which is that since Earth is advancing in its technology, more alien races are starting to take notice.
Which makes more sense now that they're actually sending a lot more advanced probes into space compared to the 70s, when it was just an explanation for why the third Doctor had to beat someone off every week.
But with all the third Doctor parallels here, I wonder if that's what they were actually going for. Not that it really matters, but It's just interesting to wonder.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like so far, based just on this episode, the 10th Doctor has some third Doctor characteristics, but he also has a lot of maybe fourth Doctor characteristics because he seems like pretty lighthearted and happy-go-lucky when he's not in that kind of angry mode.
Yeah, it is kind of fourth Doctor-ish, come to think of it.
Like when he finishes beating them off, he's like, oh yeah, and not bad for a man in his PJs. I mean, he doesn't call them PJs, he calls them whatever the British slang term for it is.
I think it's just pajamas.
Skivvies.
I don't know.
So the Doctor basically tells Harriet he could end a regime in one word, and she's like, you couldn't do that. Not even you could do that. And he's like, you're right, not one word, 6 words. And she's like, you couldn't do that. And he's like, you want to bet? And he walks over to the assistant and he takes out his earpiece and he whispers in his ear, don't you think she looks tired?
And then Harriet freaks out over it for some reason.
Yeah, because she probably realizes that, yeah, the Doctor probably can end a regime in 6 words.
She's like, what did he say? What did he say?
This is actually interesting because I didn't realize this until about a week ago, that the Doctor basically setting up the end of Harriet Jones's run as Prime Minister early kind of starts this long domino line of events that actually leads to the 10th Doctor's death.
What the heck?
Which I think is actually like pretty interesting when you see it play out, because you don't realize that all the pieces are connected until the end when you kind of put the whole chain together and you realize that it all starts because of this.
Well, I guess I know now.
I mean, you'll find out what the events are much later on. But because it doesn't play in immediately. And I don't think Russell T intended for that entire chain of events to have started here. I think it came out as a happy coincidence, but maybe he did plan it all out.
But again, like we were saying with the third Doctor parallels, it doesn't really matter whether it was intended or not. It's still there.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool that there's this kind of long chain in the background leading to the 10th Doctor's demise throughout his entire run.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So
Harriet Jones, you think that she's going to resign, and I guess this is leading up to her resignation.
I've just had her a vote of no confidence, which will oust her anyway.
She doesn't. She says she's completely fine. They don't really go into that.
Well, they see it on the TV. She's trying to fend off rumors about her health.
Yeah. They don't really detail any more about that, because they then just focus on Jackie, Rose, Mickey, and the Doctor.
Yeah, it's actually, the whole health thing, the reason why it works is because Harriet Jones is a woman. I mean, that sounds kind of sexist. That's because Earth is kind of sexist, because female politicians typically face more questions about their stamina. I mean, if you look back at the 2016 American presidential elections, pretty much every question directed to Hillary Clinton was, are you going to be able to survive the presidency? Will you be able to handle having the big red button underneath your thumb at all times? Are you going to be able to handle the stress? Whereas, Donald Trump everyone just innately assumed that he was going to be okay with that kind of thing. So.
All right.
It's actually like a documented phenomena.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, maybe it just has to do with their background, like Hillary Clinton as a lawyer and Trump as like a business person, but
well, you would think that a lawyer would have more, would have a whole bigger understanding of the law, but that didn't exempt her from those questions anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not just America. Happened in Australia, happened in the UK. It's consistent.
So it's just English-speaking countries.
Those are the only examples I know. It's a consistent phenomena that female politicians will get questioned more about their health than male politicians, basically.
Yeah, all right.
Which is why these rumors...
Interesting, I guess.
Which is why these rumors are going to be so devastating to Harriet Jones's run as Prime Minister, because she's a woman.
Huh. Anyway, they're having Christmas dinner. The Doctor goes into the wardrobe room, picks out a new outfit to the tune of, I don't know what that song was.
A song written just for this story, actually, called Song for 10.
Wow.
The first original song written for Doctor Who since the Grandmaster's rap in Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Oh, God. Yeah, I thought it was just some licensed song.
Nope. They wrote it for the story, and then when they released it on the soundtrack,
they call it Song for 10. What a creative name.
At the end of the season, they recorded new lyrics that reflected like events that happened over the whole season, because the lyrics in the TV aired version just represent what happened in the story. Yeah, but so he looks through a couple outfits. Apparently, one of the outfits he looks at is one that David Tennant wore in the Casanova TV show. There's also a suspiciously Fourth Doctor-looking outfit in the front, kind of on a hat stand.
Yeah,
and apparently the Sixth Doctor's coat appears in there somewhere.
I didn't notice any of them.
For some reason, the 10th Doctor picks the longest coat possible. I remember hearing that David Tennant specifically asked the costume designer to design the longest coat possible for his character, and that's why the coat's so long.
Well, they could just have a coat dragging on the ground. It's not really the longest coat possible.
The longest coat possible that wouldn't cause people to trip.
Anyway, they have their Christmas dinner or whatever, and the Doctor's about to leave, and there's been this whole misunderstanding for the entire episode where Rose thought that the Doctor didn't want her to travel with him anymore, and the Doctor thought that now that he had regenerated, Rose didn't want to travel with him. But they clear that up. Rose says she wants to continue traveling with the Doctor.
Yeah. So they
and Mickey goes, I guess you really love him and want to travel with him, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of just undoing that, or redoing, I guess, that character development from last season. Like we mentioned before. Just kind of weird. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know why Russell T decided to redo basically the Mickey's character development in The Parting of the Ways again in this story, but hopefully he doesn't do that again.
Just every time Mickey shows no.
He's stuck in a time loop, forced to relive the same character development over and over again. Just also a small note back on the Doctor's costume. I just wanted to mention that he's wearing like a full suit under that coat. So technically he's wearing two coats. But anyway.
Yeah, so they leave.
Well, okay, no, well, they go outside because it's supposedly snowing. And the Doctor's like, this isn't snow. This is ash from the spaceship. And then Rose is like, okay, less cool. And they see like some meteors. He's like, oh, that's shooting stars. And the Doctor's like, nope, pieces of the spaceship flying through the atmosphere. Rose is like, nice.
At least it's a white Christmas.
But yeah, it ends there, and then we get a trailer for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
Which spoils the return of the Cybermen.
And Sarah Jane. And K9.
Yeah. I mean, okay, Sarah Jane and K9 would have been spoiled by the Radio Times cover for the upcoming season that had Sarah Jane on the cover. But I was going to say the return of the Cybermen would have been spoiled by the fact that the name of the episode is... It's Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel, so...
Still waiting for them to do a fake out where, like, the episode's called something of the Cybermen. It doesn't have the Cybermen in it or something like that.
Shadow of the Cybermen. And just the first scene is the Doctor looking at, like, a shadow on the ground. It's like, wow, that shadow looks like a Cyberman. And the story's just about something completely different.
Well, they don't have to do it that lamely. They can make you think it's like the Cybermen or the Daleks, and it turns out not to be.
Oh, and also the trailer for the upcoming season spoils that the Doctor and Rose kiss at some point.
Well, they already have, so that's not like that big of a deal. To me, at least. I mean, it spoils that they kiss again, I guess, if you care.
Hey, maybe you do care.
Maybe. If you're in the show for the romance.
That's okay, there's a way bigger spoiler they could have put in that trailer, which they didn't, so good on you, BBC. Good on you.
They'll probably somehow spoil it in the later previews, but hey.
This preview of the entire season reminds me of the preview they slapped on the first episode of Series 10 that spoiled the biggest reveal of the entire season at the very end of the trailer, and just wow. Anyway. Yeah, first Christmas episode of Doctor Who. I thought it worked out pretty well.
Well, there's Feast of Stephen.
First officially sanctioned Christmas episode. Feast of Stephen was a happy accident. They're like, oh yeah, the episode's airing on Christmas. Let's make it Christmas themed. Whereas this
Still better than this. No,
not even close. They're not even in the same county.
But did the Doctor break the fourth wall in this? No.
Thank
so
God
how could it
for
possibly be better?
I mean, I think you mean how could it possibly be worse?
I can name a few serials worse than Feast of Stephen.
Well, yeah, if your answer's going to be The Massacre, then yes. Anyway. Underworld.
Yeah.
Anyway, looking forward to Series 2. I was looking at all the names of all the episodes, like, wow, I don't remember most of these episodes. They must have sucked. I do remember a few, though, so...
Well, you're going to watch them whether they're good or not, so, yeah.
That's the blessing and the curse of this show. You get to watch all these great episodes, but you also got to watch all the garbage that goes with them. You can email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on David Tennant's portrayal of the Doctor or his sideburns. I had
I thought they were
sideburns
just
like that
bad
once.
skin.
That's what he thought. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube, all at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching New Earth. But until then, the end.